that other people don't have that comes out of my fingers, and I destroy electronic devices because they work.
I
Other
have a
people do it for
similar
me.
similar physiological defect.
We need special protective status. Okay. So can you mute your mic, and that'll keep you off the recording? Okay, good. All right, so how to get testimonials. There are only two parts to getting a super testimonial, two-step process. Before I teach that though, let me just give you a background, a kind of intro into testimonials. Because I think most teachers don't really realize how important they are. And it's not just that they're important, I would say they are the most important part of your profile. And how I know this is because one year when I used to be a traveling teacher and I would go from company to company in Prague, I printed out several profiles from Teacher Creature, and they were all different types. You know, somebody had a picture where he was wearing a tie, another person had a casual photo, there was 20-something-year-old, a 50-something-year-old, just all over, a really big variety. And I simply asked the students, my students, if you could choose one teacher to contact, who would you contact? They told me, and I asked the reason why. And consistently, again and again, the teacher with the most testimonials was selected. And the reason given was this person has the most testimonials. And if you observe your own life, you'll probably find that that is true too. It's a motivational trigger. It's called social proof. Humans are conditioned to follow the crowd, sometimes for better or for worse. But if there's a book or a product online with 1 or 0 reviews and another one with 10 or 100 reviews, you're going to be biased to choose the one with reviews. And it's the exact same dynamic happening on Teacher Creature. So reviews are important, testimonials are important. Another quick story, years ago, when I made the transition from being a traveling teacher to only teaching in my apartment, students would still ask me like, hey, can you come to my office? And I would just politely say, no, you have to come to me. And one time the guy was like, yeah, I'm really busy. I'm an important businessman. I'm not gonna, you gotta come to me. And I just said, sorry. He's like, ah. And he's like, okay. And he said this in his email. He's like, well, okay, because you have so many reviews, I'm really curious about your lessons. So that's another perk of getting testimonials. You can, set your terms, set your prices. You have more positioning power, and that's not the right expression. You have more leverage, more. You can ask for more money. You can get students to travel to you, basically. Okay, so that's the motivation. That's the reason why you want testimonials. So now let's go to my 2-step process. Step 1, sell yourself first. So at least with me, and if you don't have a testimonial, I imagine it's a similar situation with you. There's a little hesitancy with asking a student for a testimonial. They could say no. Wouldn't that be awkward? So, it's easier to put up your photo. It's easier to write a few things. But testimonial, I think for a lot of teachers, that feels a little uncomfortable. So the first step
Can I ask you a question? Do you mind if I ask something?
Yes. Yes.
Do you mean students that you got only via Creature Teacher, or is that how they qualify to write a testimonial for you? Or could any of your students write something there?
Yeah, so I'm not on Teacher Creature now, but for years I was, and now I still teach, and I still solicit testimonials, but they go other places. You know, they go on my website, they go on Facebook. So what I'm teaching is applicable to wherever you are. If you're on Teacher Creature, or if you're on multiple sites, if you're on, a lot of students use LinkedIn to get a lot of teachers use LinkedIn. So it's applicable wherever, because you're basically a product. You know, you're selling yourself. You have to wear an independent teacher has to wear two hats. You teach, but then you sell. And it's the switching back and forth that a lot of teachers are uncomfortable with, or just not the switching, but just the wearing the business hats. So part of that is, you know, knowing how to get testimonials and actually getting them. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, I just like, for example, on Amazon, I have books there, which I've written, okay, on Kindle, and only people who have bought the book from Amazon can write a review about my book. So before I used to have some reviews from people who'd read my book, but they didn't buy it from Kindle, so they were taken off. So that's what I mean. It's like, does it have to be, because I haven't yet taught anybody from Teacher Creature, that's why I don't have any testimonials. My students I got from other methods.
Okay.
You get me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, now I understand. Good question. Yeah, you know, you can, the system doesn't prevent, as far as I know, doesn't prevent a student from leaving a review who hasn't found you through the site. I think if the student registers and goes to your profile and clicks leave a review, like that's enough. Yeah. Sometimes though, you know, students, it's maybe happened once or twice where teacher complains about a review and says it wasn't legit, and then we go in the system and see if the student used the system. So if the student just registered on Monday and left a review for lessons on Monday, then like that's kind of fishy. Then we can verify that it possibly didn't happen. But yeah, yes, that's possible. Long answer. You can do that. Okay. Right. So step one is sell yourself first. And what this means is that if you are really confident in the benefit of your teaching, then it's really going to be easy to ask for a review. Because imagine selling any product that you support 100%. Like the person says, I have this problem, your product solves that problem. That's an easy thing for you to sell. But if you're not 100% convinced of the benefits, the efficacy of what you're selling, then it's going to be harder to sell that, harder to be enthusiastic about that. And for teachers or any service provider, you're so close to what you sell and you do it every day, it doesn't feel like a big deal. And for teachers, a lot of it feels like we're just chatting. We are. So we lose perspective and we don't really realize how valuable our service is and what changes we're getting for students. So an exercise I did years ago, and I highly recommend it for you, is make a list of your biggest success stories. And I don't mean students who finally learned the third conditional or students who always did their homework. I mean students who after they met you, indirectly, directly, because of your lessons, their lives changed. So I consider that a success. For example, I was just recently in contact with a former student, and after she started English lessons with me, she moved to the US and she lost a lot of weight and she found a guy and now she has a baby. I didn't help her with all those things, but that is a success story because in part, English gave her the confidence to take her life in a different direction. Another success story, this lawyer, Czech lawyer, and after English lessons, his son started to get into baseball. He's a big Amerophile, loves everything from America, movies, TV, including baseball. And his son got really good, and he started coaching baseball. It's in English, International League in Prague. And his son went to Florida for summer camp. So I did not do all that, but it came after the lessons, and was indirectly responsible. So that's another success story. So if you can get a couple of these, if you can fill a sheet, pretty soon you start to feel different about yourself, and you'll see the evidence there in front of you, like, wow, my lessons, even if we're shooting the shit, it's pretty valuable. Like, it's not just about passing the FCE or whatever. It's English can be life-changing with that. It's not an exaggeration. So sell yourself first, list all your success stories, and really get to feel good about the service that you provide. One more thing, this is kind of a reframe. And understand that when you ask for a review, a testimonial, it might think that you're asking them for something, but actually giving a testimonial is a selfish act. Just last night, I was talking to a friend about, what to watch on TV, and I gave a recommendation from a documentary. And it's not because I was altruistic and I wanted to support this documentary or the Amazon Prime, whatever. When you give a testimonial, you feel like the insider. You're like, hey, I know about this cool new thing. Oh, you don't? Here, let me tell you about it. That's selfish. You're elevating your status a little bit. So it's the same thing when two friends are talking about English, non-native speakers, and one says, oh, you've got to want to improve your English. Well, I know about this really good teacher. I've been taking her lessons for months. And yeah, you want her contact info. That person's not really thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves. They want to feel good. So giving a testimonial, it's a little bit of the same. It's a way that students can give themselves a little status boost. So another way to think about it, so it won't be such a big deal when it comes time to ask. Okay, that's step one, kind of the inner game of testimonials. Sell yourself first and understand it for what it really is. It's not that you're asking for a favor, you're giving them the opportunity to make themselves feel good, boost their status. And now on to step two, getting the testimonial. The biggest thing I do differently is I don't just come out and say, hey, can I have a testimonial? There's a smoother, easier way to do that. Step one is teach good, teach real good. And wait until a day where the student is feeling good, maybe after a particularly good lesson, or the student finally relaxes. And we've all had those moments where students just kind of, they get into a role, their tongue loosens up and English starts to flow better, and you can tell they're feeling better. And when you see that, that's the moment where you strike. You smoothly, pay attention, smoothly transition into a conversation about before and after. So let's say my student Jan here, And I say, yeah, I notice your English is getting better. Have you noticed it? And then I say, so how has your life changed? What's different at home? What's different at work? To get them to talk, ask open-ended questions. And when you hear a particularly juicy story, and you'll have a gut reaction to this, something that just sounds, it's the equivalent of a diet before and after. You want to have a story equivalent of, I was 100 pounds overweight and I couldn't get out of the house even when it was on fire. It's pretty funny. And now I won the high jump in the Olympics. So that's the before and after. And if you can get something equivalent like that for English, and it could be like as simple as what you would think is simple, but being able to help kids with your homework, like that makes you a hero to your kids, and that's huge. Or your boss. One of my students recently told me that his boss, now he started speaking up after my lessons, started speaking up in meetings, got the confidence to start speaking up. Still makes mistakes, but now he speaks during meetings. And he's an IT guy, and all the other IT people are terrified to speak English to the foreign client. And his boss recognized this, gave him more responsibility, gave him a higher position, gave him more money. And that's a pretty cool transformation. So I got that testimonial from him, and I did it by eliciting this story. So elicit the story. When you hear it, just surreptitiously jot it down as much as you can, word for word. And then congratulate them, say, make them feel even better. And then ask if you can use it as a testimonial. And most definitely your student will say yes, and then change the subject. That's all you need to do. Part B of part 2 is follow up with an email. Send them the testimonial, say, hey, how's it going? If you remember, you said I could use you gave a great testimonial. This would help, and give a reason why. Say this would help other students feel confident to contact me so they could get the results that you're getting. Don't just say, I need more money. You need to buy a new pair of shoes. Don't say that. Make them feel even more like a saint. This will help others. Other students are shy to contact me, but I think if they read your testimonial, it would give them confidence and it would help them get the great results that you're getting. Make it sound more natural than that, though. And then you want to copy paste the testimonial, and then usually my experience, they say sure, and then you give them instructions. You ask them to just copy and paste it into Teacher Creature. And maybe you have to show them how to post it. I forgot now. I think it should be kind of intuitive. You go to your profile, click leave a review, and that's it. So sell yourself first, make a list of all your success stories, feel good about the service that you provide. Then teach step 2, get the testimonial, teach real good, and on a good day, transition into how their life has changed. Elicit a story, write it down, ask if you can use it, and then follow up with an email saying, hey, if you recall, you said, here's what you said, you can change it, but if it looks good, can you just copy and paste it into Teacher Creature? And you do that 1 week with all your students, and soon you've got a profile full of 5-star testimonials, and it's a week's work, but this is an asset that you can take with you for years. So I've been, wherever I travel, wherever I go, I take my best testimonials with me, and I put them on my own website. I put them in emails. It's an asset. It really works. It really helps to promote you. It helps to, like I said, this helps students feel more confident contacting you, and it's an asset. So go get them. All right. Question time.